All right, welcome everyone, and thank you for being here. Welcome to the Q&A webinar for the body awareness practice. This is part 4 of our 5-part yoga series for people in pain. It's co-sponsored by Pain BC, and today we'll be discussing your experiences and questions about the body awareness practice that you did last week. My name is Tanya Hyde, and I'll be moderating the webinar today. I'm the project manager with the Canadian Institute for the Relief of Pain and Disability, and this webinar is co-sponsored by ourselves, CIRPD, and Pain BC in collaboration with the Canadian Pain Coalition. It's also made possible through the support of the Direct Access Program through the BC government. As mentioned, my name is Tanya, and I'll be moderating and helping with handling the Q&A session today. Also, we have Lisa Mighton, who is our education coordinator, and she's helping to moderate the questions as well. And our presenter today is Neil Pearson. Neil is a clinical assistant professor at UBC. He's a board member of Pain BC and a founding chair of the Canadian Physiotherapy Pain Science Division, a physiotherapist, a yoga therapist, and the creator of the Pain Care Yoga certification. And we're glad to have him here once again. Neil, I will hand it over to you.
Thanks so much, Tanya. Welcome, everyone. And so we're going to go through today's webinar, similar to the ones we've been doing before. We'll start off by talking about or sharing with you some of the comments that we've already received about the body awareness practice. Then we can move on to getting some questions from those of you who are online right now. Questions or comments about what happened as you were going through practicing this. And I'm hoping a lot of you were able to get a chance to practice it even every day. Then if there's time, we can sort through if there's any ongoing questions about safety around yoga and any research-related questions. So we'll pop right into the first couple of comments. But let's look at the top comment on this page. This one person responded to us, said, I find I need to adjust my back to relieve aches regularly during this practice. It seems to serve as a way to keep me awake, though. Really enjoying the last part, tension and relief. So just to address the first bit about needing to adjust position. That's a really common thing, is that often when we have pain, it's hard to stay still. And so it just makes sense to just shift your position to one so that you can focus on what you want to focus on. If you're trying to stay there and don't move, even though your body is starting to send you a lot of signals and give you a lot of experience that your body needs attention, you're just not going to be able to pay attention to what you want to. So and this is a common thing where the signals from our body about discomfort and pain and tension often are competing with our attempts at paying attention to what we want to, and our attempts at trying to focus on the things like relaxation and body awareness can be disrupted by this. So good on you, whoever wrote that, for going ahead and moving yourself, and definitely know what you mean about the idea that it can keep you awake, because a lot of times when people start this practice, they find it's hard to stay awake, especially if the practice does start to make them feel like they are relaxed. I think we had mentioned before that for a lot of us, as we start to, if we're sitting still or laying down and we start to relax, our mind often thinks, or our body starts to react as if we're going to sleep. And so add that into being sleep deprived, and it can be really hard to stay awake during the practice. And to the last point, I've really enjoyed the last part of the tension and relief. That's great, and that's part of why we wanted to give more than one option here, was that not everyone's going to respond to the same way of becoming more aware of their body. If we go to the second bullet, this person said, relaxing, sensations of energy currents running up and down and around body when doing full body scan. I find I have to really keep remembering to breathe when tensing, relaxing, tending to hold my breath. So I'm hoping with this comment that the person who wrote it is saying that it was a sensation of pleasant energy, as if the body was becoming energized in a good way while they're doing this. However, it is possible, even though this is a technique that's supposed to make us feel better, it is possible that people could feel like an agitated energy, or you know, sometimes that we get that sensation a little bit like when your legs get restless. And you can sort of feel that through our body sometimes. And if that was happening, we'd have to say, well, try this a few more times, see how it works. But if it keeps on happening, we'd want to find a different technique for you, rather than one that made you feel like an uncomfortable sense of excess energy traveling through your body. The other point here is find I really have to keep remembering to breathe when I'm tensing and relaxing. Tendency to hold my breath. That's so common in the face of chronic pain or any stress. It's like a natural body reaction almost, is that as soon as you start to tense up, you hold your breath as well. And so I congratulate the person who wrote this on this, the fact that they're noticing, because that's noticing that you're doing something you don't want is often the first step of being able to move forward. Often we don't even notice when we're becoming too tense in our body, or often we don't even notice when we're holding our breath when we move around. So thanks for those comments. Those are really good. So we have this other comment. It says, this exercise is really helping me. Tensing areas of the body as little as possible and then letting go informs me of how much I've been tensing against pain for so long that it's become ingrained. This exercise helps me to remember all day long to let go of minor tensions all over my body, and then I feel a deep sense of relaxation and comfort. Now my guess is that the person who shared this with us, I would guess that this is someone who's been practicing some techniques, some relaxation techniques or awareness techniques for a while. If not, once again, a way to go. That's awesome that you would get it so fast. Most of us, when we start doing body awareness and body relaxation techniques, we don't tend to find these more sort of profound, deeper sensations right off the bat. Often we're just starting to notice that we can maybe even pay attention, or notice that there's spots of our body that's hard for us to feel. So, and this person's also saying that by doing it, it's starting to sort of invade their day or invade their life. So they're doing this exercise. They're starting to become more aware of when their body is letting go, not just while they do it, but during the day. And that's where we want to go. That's where we want to get to. That if we practice this enough, that rather than just having this sense of awareness and relaxation during the midst of the technique, that with ongoing practice we'll be able to get those same sort of things. They start to happen almost automatically. Similar to, say, someone who's learning how to do a jump shot in basketball. When we first learn how to do that, we have to think about it. And if there's anybody around us, or if anything else is going on, we just can't do it. But after a while, with enough practice of doing it, we find that we can actually just, we see there's space to shoot the ball up, and we just jump up and do it without even thinking about it, because it's become a automatic a process in our nervous system and our body. And that's what we really want in the end. So with this body awareness technique, we're starting with being able to feel our body while we're doing the technique, and then we're hoping that that awareness will start to spill out. And so it will spill out, as we talk about in our next week's session, about it spilling out into being able to do some of this while we're starting to move. And there's key advantages of that. So thank you very much for that comment as well. So Tanya and Lisa, do we have any questions from our live participants?
Someone was saying they have difficulty tightening the individual muscles, and wondering if that's common, and also that they have pain in the back and legs when tightening back muscles, and wondering if you have any tips about that.
Sorry, was the second one pain in the back of their legs when they tighten their back?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So with the first question about, or comment about difficulty tightening individual muscles, that would make a lot of sense, because when we look at how the brain works, we know that the brain actually doesn't connect all that well to individual muscles. Our brains are set up in a way that when we think about moving part of our body, what our brain will do is turn on all the muscles that will help us with that movement in a certain coordinated fashion. And even when we look on the brain, and they do these studies where they stimulate the brain, you can stimulate the brain in a lot of different areas that would get you to move a certain way, but it's more difficult to do it in a way that will actually tell just one single little muscle to contract. So we're going to have the same experience too. When you start doing the tensing, what people typically find is that they tense a broader area or a bigger area of the body, and that the longer that they practice it, the more they can refine it down. The same as when we first start with the tensing. It's really hard to tense the muscle gently at first, much more easy to tense the muscle bigger. And as we practice and as we become more aware of our body and being able to control it better, we can start to get down to the smaller areas. Certainly, the idea of being able to contract one individual muscle is something that we really don't need to have a goal of being able to do. Now, in the face of chronic pain, of course, it's even harder to do this because some of the muscles you'll find are actually inhibited, and so you try to contract them in these individual areas, and sometimes you're going to have to practice it quite a lot. Or even change the way you're doing it or how you're doing it or the position you're doing it in before you're actually be able to figure out how to get the signals to go down to the right area. So if you're having that trouble with contracting small areas, just stick with it. In time, you'll be able to hone it down a little bit smaller, and probably find that that's more advantageous down the road. So one of the things I mentioned with that is that I've run into people sometimes who say they have pain in their neck or their shoulder area, and they'll find that if they just even try to contract their hand gently, when they do that, it actually engages, not only does their hand contract, but the muscles around the painful area of their neck and shoulder will contract. And that can take a lot of practice to try to start to let that go. So if you were going through this practice and you contracted one area of your body and that produced more pain in the sort of typical area of pain for you, that is once again the kind of thing that we see, and it's just with practice and by gently carrying on, you should be able to find a way so in the situation I gave you where you could tense up your hand a bit without your neck or shoulder or jaw tensing up. Now, if I understand the other question, sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Oh, I was going to throw another one at you. Go ahead. The other half of it was about pain. Was about pain in the back and legs when tightening back muscles.
Right on. Yeah. So if we look at that, so the person's tightening their back muscles and they're getting pain in the back of the legs. So there's a lot of different possibilities with this. I'm assuming that's well, actually, let's go through some different thoughts. If the person's primary area of pain actually is in the back of their legs, it could be that when we try to contract the muscles in our back, our leg muscles contract too, and so it's sort of agitating the wound up nervous system there. We could be in a situation where actually the pain is in the back. But people also can get referred pain down their legs, and so sometimes that can happen, that you tense up the muscles in your back, and if inadvertently you were tightening them up too much, you might actually tighten them up in a way that would either compress the joints and potentially cause pain, or maybe even put tension around the nervous system, or even when you're tensing up the muscles around your back, it could be that somehow your nervous system is deciding that something dangerous is happening. And if your nervous system decides something as dangerous is happening, it could be giving you the pain in your leg. And we know that unfortunately the system doesn't always tell us accurately where the pain is. So anyway, those are the possibilities for why. In terms of if it's happening with you contract the muscles of your back and you get pain worsening in your leg, my suggestion would be to initially start with trying to contract the muscles of your back more gently, or possibly start with, say, the muscles of your mid and upper back and contract them and see if you can do that without giving yourself the leg pain. And then see if you can slowly work your way down so you sort of come into it slowly to see if you can actually get those muscles to contract without giving you that leg pain. Beyond that, if you're continuing to have this problem, I think once again this is the kind of scenario where you would probably benefit from seeing someone like a physical therapist who can put their hands on you and be able to evaluate exactly what's happening. Is it more coming from your back, or is it the muscles of your leg are tensing up too much? You probably need that individualized attention and direction to come up with a really good solution.
Could you describe the tensing of the jaw? Is it like a clenching of the teeth?
Oh, okay. Well, actually, you could, if you're tensing your jaw, you could do it by gently drawing your teeth together. You could do it by sort of tensing the muscles like you're trying to pull the jaw back, like you're trying to pull your bottom teeth back in under your top teeth. You could tense your jaw in a way that you were sort of pushing your lower jaw forward. So you can tense the muscles around your jaw in a number of different ways, and different individuals actually do it differently. Probably the most common one is people sort of pulling their teeth together and then clamping down between. But there are those other movements of pushing the jaw forward or pulling back that some people do. In the technique, though, I think probably the thing to do is to just let your teeth come gently together, and as long as you don't have any teeth issues, that's what you want to do, is let your teeth come a little bit together and ever so gently just push them together to give the gentle tension.
I think that's most of the questions in this section.
Okay. All right, so we'll move forward. I think we have a good question here. It says, with this exercise and other similar ones that I've done, I really struggled to feel my body at all. I hardly feel any sensation anywhere. I'm currently practicing body tapping and qigong in order to start feeling my body. Is it a concern that I can't feel any sensations? And then why is it that I cannot? Should I be able to feel sensations in each part of my body? This is a really great question, and we run into situations where people say, you know, I close my eyes and I try to feel my body and I really can't feel it. So I wish I could tell you what's normal. It's so hard to say, you know, what's normal, what most people should be able to do. I can tell you what most people are able to do when they're not in the face of stress or a lot of pain is if they close their eyes and are able to quiet their mind some, they can, without moving their body, they can feel the body. They can feel some sensation from the body, even if it's sensation from the skin or sensation of the body resting on the ground. People can feel the sense that the body is there, which is different than sort of imagining it's there. They can actually feel that it's there. And there will be parts of the body, I think, in a normal situation, parts of the body that people can feel more or less. Typically, the parts we can feel more are the parts that have more sensory apparatus in the skin. So our face, and our feet, and our hands, the genital areas, these are all areas that have more sensory apparatus. So you should be able to, or most people say that they can feel those areas more. So to the question of, is it a concern that I can't feel any sensations? I would say that I'm not exactly sure how to deal with the word is a concern. What I would say is if you have chronic pain and you're having a hard time feeling your body, what we want to do is try to move you towards being able to get a greater ability to feel it. And there's a reason for this. The reason is that your brain and your nervous system relies on being able to feel your body to help you move in a good way. And so if your brain's not getting really good sensation of what's happening in your body, it's harder for your brain to plan movement. And so if you're in the situation of it hurts when I move, it may help to be able to get your brain to be able to feel your body more. Now, I want to be clear that we sort of get into some trouble when we talk about this from a purely academic point of view, is that we don't know for certain, we do know for certain that the brain needs to be able to feel the body to plan movement. But what we don't know is, do you need to be able to feel the body consciously? Or is it all the sort of automatic information that's going up to the brain, and your brain's always feeling that, whether you're consciously being able to feel your body or not? So we don't know that. But what we found is that, at least in some people, that if we can help you to do activities and exercises and techniques where you start to be able to get a better sense of your body, where you can close your eyes and you can say, yes, I can feel some sensations coming from there, that when people get that, they also find that they're starting to be able to move with greater ease or less pain. So, as you see, we don't know exactly the link. It's possible that there's some other reason why people are being able to move with greater ease and with less pain when they practice these things. But for now, we sort of have this idea that if you can't consciously feel your body, what we want you to do is to be able to practice things so you can, in the hopes that by being able to feel your body better, that you'll be able to move with less pain and greater ease. So the person here has asked, why is it that I cannot? And seriously, I cannot answer why. We think that in probably in your situation, that the nerves would be all intact. But it may be that your brain has been so focused on the danger, on the pain, that it's sort of developed a distorted way of viewing the body. And I don't mean any insult by saying distorted view, but that's something that we know that happens in some people with chronic pain, is that if they've had the pain long enough and intense enough, what can happen is the person's view of their body becomes shifted, sort of distorted in shape or size, so that some people with ongoing pain start to feel like a part of the body that's in pain is bigger than it really is. Some people feel that it's smaller than it really is. Some people can feel that they have extra things, like maybe even extra fingers. Had people report that sort of this image or feeling of extra fingers on their hand with ongoing pain. And also some people have reported having the sense that part of their body that they can see is there, it's almost like it's disappeared from the sort of brain's map of their body. So we believe that those kinds of distortions, those bigger distortions, are a concern, and there's some evidence from some different areas that if we can help that person who's feeling that to be able to feel their body in a more sort of realistic or representational way of what's really going on, that when they start to be able to feel their body better and see their body better, that they start to be able to move better and they have less pain. So this is part of why we're sort of conjecturing in to say, if you are not being able to feel your body all that well, then maybe that's part of the reason why it continues to hurt as much as it does, and maybe that's part of the reason why it's hard to move without the ease and without the less pain. So to the last point here, I'm sure you know there's a long answer, but it's a really big question to me, is should I be able to feel sensations in each part of my body? What I would suggest is that yes is the answer. That if you close your eyes and you're in a relatively low stress situation, that you should be able to actually feel your body, feel some sensations from your body without moving them around. Obviously, I'm not talking about people who've had actual nerve damage where they can't feel it in the normal sense. Now, if you're in that situation, you might actually go out and ask some of your friends, can they feel your body? And it seems that even in people who don't have a whole lot of pain, there are times when people can't feel their body all that well. So in the yoga world, we often talk about it as sort of losing connection in terms of not being able to sense our physical body, as if we're trying to, as if we're almost, not we're trying to, but it's as if we're almost dragging our body around without really paying attention all that much. And certainly it seems like a lot of people do that. We just don't have any scientific way of proving that, at least that I know of yet. Anyway, I apologize for the long answer, but hopefully it explains things even better. I see so we're going to jump back to more questions from the audience.
I think most of them you answered in your last answers on this section, so you may want to move on to the next one.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, we don't have any other questions about body awareness for right now.
Okay.
So before we move, can I actually just say a couple other things?
Yes.
Good. All right. So if you've been practicing this technique over the last week, and if you haven't been noticing a whole lot of ability to feel your body, what I would ask you to do is stick with it. It is once again, I can't give you the evidence to say that this is exactly what will happen and how long it takes, but it seems to be such an important thing for so many people to continue with some sort of daily practice where they are spending time trying to gain a better sort of appreciation of their body or gain ability to feel their body more. And we know that from some research around meditation, we know that there's certain parts of your brain that actually pay attention to what's happening in our body, both in terms of movement and position and sort of muscle tension and all those things. We know that when people do things like meditation, that those areas of the brain are actually engaged more. And there's some evidence that by continuing on doing body awareness exercises, that you can start to actually change the way your brain is paying attention to your body with time, with practice. And of course, that's going to lead to your feeling of, well, actually, I can feel my body better. It's something that we definitely have seen a lot in people who have been long-time meditators. And our question always was, well, the people who are long-term meditators, can they feel their body just because they've been practicing more? And by this idea of being able to feel your body more, is there any sort of thing around the brain that's different? And they were able to find with some of the brain research that there was this particular area of the brain called the insula that seemed to be related to a greater sense of being able to feel the body. And as I said, when people get there, they typically say, when they have the sense of being able to feel their body better, that this is advantageous for them. So obviously lots of research left to be done around this area, but it seems like the right path, so stick with it.
Neil, I have a couple actually that have been submitted by email to me.
Okay.
One of them was, I seem to overventilate when doing the breathing exercises, more so when I concentrate on how I breathe, particularly during exercise 1 and 2. Any advice?
Okay. So the person's finding that they overbreathe. So I'm guessing they're almost feeling a sense of hyperventilation or discomfort from breathing that way. Does that sound like what the question had to do with, Tanya?
It sounded like that. Either pain or maybe a little bit of stress around the breathing, maybe?
Okay. Actually, can you read it once more? It's just I want to make sure I get the best chance of understanding this.
Sure. I seem to overventilate, which I think would probably mean hyperventilate, when doing the breathing exercises, more so when I concentrate on how I breathe, particularly during the first and second parts of the exercise.
Okay. So it sounds like the key thing is that when the person is paying more attention to how they breathe, that then that's where they run into the trouble. There are times when we're getting people to start doing awareness techniques, whether it's body awareness techniques or it's breathing techniques, and when we start to pay more attention, it's as if our brain is getting more agitated by this increase in sort of feeling things. So on the possibility that it's that, what I would suggest to the person is to actually see if you could take your attention back a notch or two. So pay attention, but maybe pay attention a little bit less to start. If paying attention is making us agitated, bothered, not seeming to be a calming or good introspective exercise, it may just be that we're doing it with too much intensity to start. So you might say, well, how do I dial it back? Well, one of the things to do is to try paying attention to more than one thing at the same time. So if you divide your attention between the breathing exercise and maybe at the same time as you're doing it, make sure that you can feel your seat on your chair and or your feet on the floor, or hold your hand in a certain position while you're doing the breathing exercise. That might, then divide your attention between those things and your breath. That might give you a more beneficial experience when you do it. So I'd start with that and see how it goes from there.
All right, very good. And I have one other one. Someone said they've been using your body scan CD for a while, and that those exercises on that CD don't include the tense release component, and that was new for her. So wondering, any comments on when to use or not to use the tense and release as part of the body scan exercise?
Okay, that's a great one. So the simple, sort of straightforward answer would be use the one that feels better, or use the one that makes you or allows you to be able to feel your body better. If that's what if you're doing the technique as an attempt to be able to gain more awareness of your body, do the one that lets you feel it better. Whether it's the tense release or just the on the CD, it talks or it guides you through paying attention to feelings rather than tensing and relaxing. The other thing you might say is, well, I'm actually doing this both to be able to feel my body better and to be able to find more relaxation, in which case look to that, whichever one actually allows you to feel more relaxed when you're doing it. So if I said that a different way, it would be there's not one technique, as far as I know, that's better than another. The way to judge if it's the best technique is to try it out and compare how you feel at the end to see which gives you the best benefits.
Another online question. When I do many of the exercises, I feel better. My body feels better in the short term, but I tend to have severe cramping later in the day, debilitating cramping in the groin and legs. Can you help or have any ideas about that?
Wow, so that's a great question, and actually a common thing that we'll address a little bit in the next webinar, but I get the feeling this is a little bit different. If the person is doing the breathing exercises, the breath awareness, breath control, and body awareness exercises, and getting more cramping in the leg, I'm not sure what to suggest online. That would be the kind of thing where I really think it would. This is where you'd need a little bit more, or maybe even a lot more information. Be able to watch the person while they're doing it, being able to evaluate certain things before and afterwards to see. Because nothing really pops to my mind as saying, this could be why you do that. If it was activity, if the person was saying, I'm trying to be more active, or I'm trying to do more physical exercise, and I'm getting worse cramping in my legs, then it'd be a lot easier for me to give some guidance, and all that guidance actually is in the next webinar we're going to do, so I'll leave it for there. But in this case, I'm not sure, and it doesn't strike me as something that's, oh my God, you need to rush off to see a healthcare professional about this. But I think where it would be advantageous to see someone who's got some experience in breathing techniques and understands chronic pain to see if they could give you better guidance on this.
An interesting one. It's not a question, she says, but it took me a month of looking at my arm and watching it in a mirror before I could actually start to feel it.
Yeah, so thank you for that. So spending a whole month at looking your arm in a mirror before you feel it. So I'm going to assume that the person who's saying this is someone who's did not have nerve injury from their neck down to their arm, that it's someone who's had a chronic pain condition, because sometimes this can happen where it's almost feels like the body has been sort of pulled apart, and like sometimes people feel like the limb isn't even there. So the mirror work is, if you were to watch an arm in the mirror over and over and over again. Typically what we do, if you had pain in your arm and you really couldn't feel it, sometimes what we do is get a person to hide the arm that's giving them troubles behind the mirror, and then look in the mirror as they move their, shall we say, good arm, their non-affected arm. And if they watch that over and over and over again, it's as if the brain starts to reconnect or be able to feel that part of the body again. So whoever said that, good for you with sticking with it. A month is a long time to be able to continue with something in an effort to be able to try to feel it again. And sometimes when things aren't as striking as that, where we don't quite feel so desperate, so we don't invest as much time in it. But definitely the time of practice is really important for a lot of us to be able to feel our body in any good way again.
Lisa, I think you have yourself muted. I can hear you in the other room, but...
Before I had pain, when I would breathe in deeply and then out, I felt a relaxation after the out-breath. But now when I do it, I don't feel the relaxation. Can you feel any explanation for what's going on, why that might be?
Oh, wow. So, Lisa, what she said before she had pain?
Before she had pain, when she would breathe in deeply and then out, she felt the relaxation after the out-breath. But now when she does it, she doesn't. Presumably when she's now in pain, I don't feel the relaxation.
Wow. That's an excellent question, comment. I really don't know how to answer that one. I haven't run into it before. And I think what we'd want to do is once again have a sort of one-on-one look to see, what exactly is happening here. As a so the typical response of our physiology when we breathe in a calm way is if you breathe calmly long enough, your physiology starts to calm down and your mind starts to calm down. So if that's not happening, there's something else is, something else is keeping the body or the autonomic nervous system or something stressed. I suppose it could be the pain itself. It could be that the pain is intense enough that as this person's trying the breathing to relax, that's because the pain is interrupting things so much that she's not getting the same response. So if that's the case, if the person who sent this in, if you're finding that you're not getting the relaxation when you breathe, it's possible it's because the pain is that intense. And that you may find that if you were to do some other thing to calm your pain down some, if you could, put on ice or put on heat or do anything that would bring some, get you to a spot of less pain and less stress, that you might be able to feel a sense of relaxation. Now, if it is that kind of thing, then once again, it's stick with it. There are people who I've worked with who said, in the face of pain, I try to relax and I really just don't feel like I can. And then I find a way to motivate the person to continue with this, to try even like 4 or 5 times a day for more than 5 minutes at a time. Just keep at it. And some people really take 3, 4, 5 weeks before they start to feel like they're getting any significant relaxation response, really just because the pain and the stress are that big. So I hope that's what is happening for you, and I'll sort it out some.
I have a couple of tangent questions about you as a yoga therapeutic teacher.
Okay.
One saying she's a physio and very inflexible herself, and asking, I guess, are you flexible, and also do you encounter that much?
Oh, okay, thanks. Thanks for that question. I'm having a little giggle here because I am not. I was not born into a flexible body. I have this is not a dancer's body that I'm living in, and I spent a lot of my years doing things like long distance running, which for most of us train our body to be more stable and more stiff, not more supple. So sometimes it's an advantage to have this stiffer body, because when I'm teaching therapeutic yoga, it doesn't. I'm not role modeling these quite deep, twisty yoga postures, and so my students realize that that's not what they need. So now I've forgotten the second part of that. So what was the second part of that, Lisa?
I think it was just. You may have answered that, but if your students find that they're not flexible, and any frustrations with that?
Oh, lots. and really that's the thing is we have this idea that yoga is about physical flexibility, and I would say a couple things about that. And one I'll borrow from a fellow named Ian Finn. I heard this from him. He's a yoga teacher in Vancouver, and Ian says that saying you're too stiff to go to yoga would be like saying you're too dirty to take a shower. You know, we have this idea that you need to be flexible to do yoga, and that's not what it's about. And then when we get into yoga, you may be the kind of physical body that your physical body isn't going to become that much more flexible. It may just be that's the way your structure and your system is set up. And what we're actually trying to do in yoga still is become more flexible, but think about flexible as in able to cope with things better, able to adapt better, able to have different options in the face of adversity to do things in a different way. So what we want to do is say, especially in the face of ongoing pain, that the point of yoga isn't to see how flexible you can become in your physical body. And yet at the same time, that's part of it. We want, in the face of pain, to be able to find a way to be able to move with greater ease, to be able to move further and with greater ease. But that's only one bit. What we want to do is find a way to be able to calm our nervous systems and change the whole process so that we have less pain and better quality of life, which doesn't, of course, naturally happen when you start to be able to move like a dancer for most people. Anyway, so hopefully I've addressed that well.
The other one on the line about your work, I guess, is somebody asking, can you talk briefly about your pain care yoga certification? And I took a quick look at your website to see if I could refer them there, but I couldn't see it.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot up there. So what I'd just really briefly, pain care yoga certification is a process that I've developed so that I can try to get both healthcare professionals and yoga teachers and yoga therapists in the same room to teach them how do we integrate sort of Western care, Western pain care, and therapeutic yoga. So that's essentially what it's about. If anyone's interested, please feel free to email me, and I'll be happy to give you lots more information, and there will be a lot more information on the website within the next few months about that as we get the sort of standard procedures all together.
There's one question asking about literature, but I think that about literature related to neuroscience, meditation, body awareness, and pain. But I think that you previously sent some that sort of addressed that, so if I could just direct them to that.
I think so, and if you want to know more about neuroscience, as if you're a person in pain, probably the key book that you'd want to get would be Butler and Mosley's book, Explaining Pain. I've written a basic book with the same kind of information, but a little bit of a easier to understand level. And Baram Jam, who's a physiotherapist in Ontario, he's written one. I think it's called The Painful Truth. Each of these are about the basics of pain neuroscience. You can get information there.
I think that's the bulk of our questions.
Okay. Well, should we give a chance for if there's anyone else online who wants to toss in a question? We still have 10 or 15 minutes to see if there are.
There's one you might want to make a comment on. She says,
Sure.
How do we overcome pain connected to past trauma while doing a body scan? I've been told that I've been holding on to pain so long that it will take an awful lot of work to release it.
Yeah. The first thing I want to say is that being a physical therapist, the area of such things is something I've got some knowledge of from experience with people, but it's not definitely my forte. If some people will use body scans to try to work with previous trauma and emotional things, I really think that the best thing to do is get some guidance from someone who that's clearly within their scope of practice. The only specific thing I would say is if you're doing this kind of a body scan and it's giving you some benefits, if you're starting to sort of be able to feel things better and be able to relax better, then stick with it. But if you were to do the kind of body awareness techniques that we did or body scan and you're finding significant troubling thoughts or emotions coming up, this is definitely where you need to see a regulated health professional who can give you some guidance on the way to carry on. It might be exactly what you need to do, but there might be way better and different processes for you to try out.
If a person has a rotator cuff or shoulder injury not yet worked up, is it okay to do yoga poses and modifying as necessary due to pain?
Oh gosh. Wow. If you've got a rotator cuff injury but you haven't been diagnosed or assessed yet, should you do yoga postures? I'm tempted to say the best course would be to go and find yourself a physical therapist who can evaluate this and give you good guidance on what you should do to get it better and the kinds of things that you want to avoid while you're getting better. I think that would be the wisest way to go. If you would ask me, do you absolutely need to? Well, I'm sure people don't at times, but I think the assessment and guidance would be best. I can't think of any way to guide you, to guide anyone in that question beyond get it checked out. It just makes the most sense in the world to get it checked out before you start moving forward, because it'll give you the best. I think it'll give you the best success, the fastest success.
One question on does muscle spasm ever go away?
Oh wow. Does muscle spasm ever go away? Well, I think the answer is yes. If a muscle is spasming, there's lots of different reasons it could be from. If we take the instance that the muscle is in spasm because of some protective response, because there's been the nervous system is in that protective mode and it's using the muscle to do that, the spasm will go away when we can find a way to get enough input or get the input into the nervous system to tell the nervous system that it's not so dangerous as it thinks it is, and that it's okay to let go. And that's the key, is that sometimes these muscles they grip for dear life. It's like the muscle effort of hanging on the edge of the cliff by your fingertips. There's so much effort, and it just seems not to want to let go. If we can find a way to bring that nervous system to a calmer state and find a way to get the system to realize that it doesn't need to protect you that much, then yes. And so if you're struggling with these simple techniques of being able to do that, once again, if you can find your way into someone who can sort of do a better assessment and give you better individual guidance, that might be what you need to do to find a way to get those muscles to let go finally.
I think that's all the questions at the moment. Tanya?
I just saw one, but I would assume that the advice is probably similar to the shoulder one and also maybe the one you just answered. But someone asking specifically about, would body awareness, the tension and release, work in the case of a badly pinched hip nerve?
Oh. Well, I think these techniques would work on so would they work on helping to release the pressure or the pinch on the nerve? I don't know. It would depend on what's pinching the nerve. But would they help with potentially decreasing the severity or the intensity of the pain? My answer would be yes. Because when we get pain from these kinds of things, you've got these danger signals flying up to your brain giving you pain, but then the pain itself can feed back in and make your body tense and change the way you breathe and things like that, and that of course feeds back and creates a vicious cycle with the pain where the pain is getting built up by it. So you may not be able to stop the pain with them, but the idea is that when you do these, you'll be able to decrease the severity or the intensity of the pain, even in the face of something specific like that. I know sometimes when people are experiencing things like getting an epidural injection around their back, if we can get them to breathe better and calm themselves better, they'll say, well, it still hurts to get that needle in my back, but it doesn't hurt anywhere near as much as if I were just to not try to control things. And that's sort of what you'd probably want to do in the face of a pinched nerve.
Can body awareness be used to work with phantom limb pain?
Oh, well, not exactly the same way, but say you had a phantom hand pain. So say that you had an injury where your hand was amputated and now you've got phantom hand pain. There's some people I met, some physical therapists that I met over in Turkey, and what they were doing is getting people who had phantom limb pain to actually start to take control of their phantom and start to exercise their phantom. They're saying, so if this phantom is a product of our brain is creating this phantom, that's, well, the brain's something we have some influence and control over, so why not get people to start to actually take control of it? So what they're doing is saying, okay, your brain's created this image of this phantom hand for you, even though your hand's not there, so let's start to try to find a way to, instead of just feeling your hand, let's get you to start to do a technique where actually starting to move your hand. And it seems that if you've got phantom pain, if we can engage the part of your brain that used to pay attention to your hand more. So if you can imagine your hand, or imagine moving the phantom, or sometimes people use mirror work so that even though their hand's not there, they're looking at a mirror image of their opposite hand moving. All of these things engage that part of the brain. And when you do that, when you engage the part of the brain that used to pay attention to the hand with hand-related activities, that actually starts to make the pain better. So, sorry, the short answer is yes, we just need to modify the way you're doing it. And typically, once again, if you've got that going on, this is where you'd want to find typically a physical therapist who's got some training in pain management and chronic pain management to be able to help you out with this. Because it can really, really work, even if the phantom pain's been there for 5 or 10 years.
There's a question that I think might be of use to everybody, which is asking about somebody interested in seeing a physical therapist and not knowing where to start. Where do we find one? How often should we see them, they say. And what is the cost of seeing one? And I'm wondering, for people in British Columbia, if you want to talk at all about MSP referrals for that too.
Yeah, well, I know that MSP will cover for, I think it's people with low income. We have 12 visits that we can have physiotherapy covered by our MSP service, which is our government-funded service. Beyond that, physiotherapy requires people to pay often $50 or $60 for a half-hour appointment. In most places, it's around that. It can vary depending on where the person is. So in terms of where to find, I would suggest that the best place to look would be in British Columbia, the best place to look would be on the BC Physio website, which is actually www.bcphysio.org, and on there's a Find a Physio area where you can put in where you live. If you have chronic pain, you can put in that you're looking for someone interested in chronic pain management, and then just click the button and it'll pop up with the names of the people in your area who have an interest in that. So that's probably the easiest way to find physios in BC. Throughout Canada, there is and I'm feeling a little embarrassed that I can't remember it now, it's the Canadian Physiotherapy Pain Science Directory. And it's a directory of physical therapists across Canada, mostly who are involved in the Canadian Pain Science Division, who are also involved, so you can look there as well. Oh, sorry, the person had asked how many times to see the physiotherapist, and sorry, I can't tell you that because it really, really would depend on what the problem is and what stage of healing and all those other things that you have. So there's no way to know for certain.
I think we've covered, at the moment, all of the questions that are on there.
Okay.
Yeah, and
so
go ahead, Neil.
I was just going to say that there are more and more physical therapists throughout Canada and throughout the United States who are getting trained in doing yoga and yoga therapy. And if you're working on if you want to work on the kinds of techniques that we're talking about here, just so you know, there are some physical therapists who are not yoga therapists who are equally qualified in body awareness, breath awareness, and those sorts of things. So you may be able to find the things you require without being able to find someone who is sort of trained in both areas.
I was just going to make a quick comment, and then I'll probably close up. But the Canadian-wide Physiotherapy Association, the website is www.physiotherapy.ca for those that want to check out. And they have the listing of different divisions, and within that you can find the site for the Pain Science Division of the Canadian Physiotherapy Association. So just for people's reference. And then I think we'll go ahead and end the webinar there. Thank you everyone for contributing your great questions to drive our discussion. That was wonderful. And I will email out links as usual. If you don't receive one by Monday, feel free to email me and I can send you the information. I've been having some hit and misses with some people not receiving follow-up emails, so feel free to contact me Monday if you haven't received something. Also, our final question and answer session for this series will be next Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, as usual, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to be on the guidelines for yoga posture practice video, which I will be sending out in the email, the follow-up email, for everyone to do over the next week. And thank you very much to Neil for, as always, his wonderful insight and for answering all of our questions. And I think...
Thanks for having me there.
Great. And then I think we will sign off, and I hope to see all of you next week.